Hey there, you mean DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I'm Mantis, and today we're going to get into the next evolution of Absolute Batman. With the Bane saga all wrapped up, Absolute Batman continues on to explore the mastermind, it seems, of Bane, the Joker. And throughout this issue, we'll get a glimpse of where the Joker came from, the history of or his history in the Absolute Universe, all told by Alfred and information that he's gathered from MI6. All coming up now in issue number 15 of Absolute Batman. Starting out, Alfred tells Bruce that he's been chasing this man for 3 years, this man in white, and he's still not sure what's true and what's not. Seems the man in white owns hundreds of tiny islands all over the world, islands that are useless to everyone but him. I mean, there's nothing on them. There's vegetation, some flora fauna there. Then he spends billions on them. And the satellites show nothing on them, no development, nothing. He travels to them a few times a year alone. The theory is he likes to hunt, but even that is just a theory. Let's find out some history of his family. Starting in 1888, we assume an actor in the very first motion picture ever filmed, the man in white's great-grandfather, Joseph Grimm I, an orphan on the streets of Gotham, working as a street performer, the clown. And they say he was very good. They say you could hear the audience laughter for several blocks away on his performances, but he never so much as chuckled. As his reputation grew, he went to vaudeville, saved his money, invested in his own theater called Just Kidding, or JK, then invested in silent pictures, funding some of the biggest ones, actually. By 40, though, he had become a member of multiple men's clubs in Gotham, the Five Gates Club and the Slaughter Select, just to name a few. He also knew Andrew Melton, John Rockefeller, and Andrew Carnegie, some of the most powerful and richest men in the early 19th century. But even with all of that, all of his connections, even as a performer, he still wasn't one for the spotlight, as there were almost no photos or interviews of him. He was also a major philanthropist, full on rapist, philanthropist. Sorry to get those right.
I'm sorry. Did you say you're a full-on rapist?
Especially devoted to children's causes. Jack died in 1938 and was presumably buried in the family crypt here in Gotham City. Continuing and expanding the family business, his son, Jack Jr., took over and became one of the earlier financiers of television, created a bunch of subsidiaries of JK, all named after famous clowns. And just like his father, he stayed committed to philanthropic pursuits of children's causes. By the 1960s, Jack Jr.'s son, Jack Grimm III, was the central figure of JK, starting one of the first cable network companies and a major funder of public broadcasting. Jack Grimm IV was born sometime in the late 1970s, expanded JK's reach to global causes, and also took the company into gaming. So we see a nice older picture there of the NES, which all finally brings us to Jack Grimm V, our Jack. Young, smart, and by far the most successful. One of the first investors of online gaming platforms, also approaching trillionaire status. He's really expanded JK's charitable options to literacy programs, peace organizations, medicine, and aid drops. As Batman says, but what's the catch? What's so scary about this dude? That's the thing. On paper and on the surface, nothing really seems that scary about him. The opposite is true, it seems. His whole family is very successful, generous, and stuck to that first motto of a clown to make the world smile and laugh. We get to see him on a big game hunt on one of his islands. A bit eccentric, just like Bruce. Jack makes his kill of the hunt he's on, seeming not to show any emotion except a stoic stare. He's a classic American success story. There has to be something else. Bruce asks Alfred what he believes, not what his report or what the paper says. Going back to the beginning with the boy, though, the clown in the alley. See, that alley he performed in was next to a dentist office. Using the nitrous oxide from the office, he would leak into the alley and make all of the audience members laugh, but also compliant and very open to suggestion. He would make them give him their money. See there, the act, it was just a trick to steal their cash. In the vaudeville side and film scene, Jack would fund his rivals, playing one side against the other. Alfred found out through his research that the Grimm family always played both sides, even in wars, funding both sides. Through JK subsidiaries, they funded right and left leaning news outlets. They fund the aid to these countries and the warlords who steal it. In fact, they might be the most powerful crime family in history and only out for power. That's what Bruce asked, to what end though? Alfred thinks it's all stemming from that clown motto, playing the fool. When making a fool of everyone else, he's a mastermind, a schemer. Now back to Jack on his island. He's trekking through the jungle. He stumbles upon a beach with a makeshift primitive house or hut. He asks, "Hello, is anyone home?" That's when Alfred tells Bruce, you see, for him, all the gold in the world isn't enough. Nothing is enough for Jack. And that's the report that Alfred sent to MI6. On Jack's island, a man emerges from that hut, apparently been there for 30 years, trapped. And we find out Jack is the one who had brought him there. With a massive evil grin on his face, Jack tells him to run. The old man, in disbelief that it can't be him, takes off running. Again, Bruce asks Alfred what he believes. Still not sure he's gotten the whole story. Going back one more time to the boy clown in the alley. You see, when Alfred dug deeper, many people in that silent film died soon after it was filmed, poisoned by strychnine. Strychnine, a poisonous powder absorbed through the skin, possibly off the glove of the boy. Now, the old man continues to run from Jack, and Jack takes his time, but his face begins to change. See, lots of people who had encountered the Grimms over the years died mysteriously. Alfred tells Bruce in the 90s an associate at the FBI began an investigation on Jack and, quote, died in a boating accident. You see, as you begin to peel the onion layers back, you get a much darker picture of the Grimms. Grimm investments in some of the deadliest inventions in history: bombs, bioweapons, viruses, all kinds of bad-ish. Jack fires his crossbow, hitting the man at his ankle. What if those islands are where Jack puts his enemies? What if he uses the children as experiments? Jack had found some way, using research done at his arks, to make an elixir. The clown is just an act, a mockery of humanity, convincing humanity to kill one another while he also preys on it. As the old man, now presumably the FBI agent Harvey Harris that Alfred was speaking about, turns around in horror, Jack begins to transform. Alfred believes this is no Grimm family, but there's only been one Jack from the beginning. Could be that elixir, it could be some pact with the devil himself. Jack now staring down Harry, only laughing right before he makes his kill on the big game island. See, he's not just Jack, he's a monster. He's the Joker. The Joker strikes, killing and devouring Harry, laughing as he does it. Back to the Batcave, after the long history lesson there, Bruce has heard enough of his tale and leaves to check on Wayland after their fight with Bane. Alfred, though, still wonders if he should even told Bruce, or brought him into this terrible dark world of monsters. With Batman checking on Wayland, and presumably fighting crime throughout Gotham, Alfred lets us in on some other things Batman has been checking on as well, including Wonder Woman. Also, reports put Grimm on one of his islands near Columbia, but Bruce couldn't let that be without an investigation. As he's swinging above, Jack just peers at the streets and looks up and sees Batman. Jack standing there almost admiring Batman, only saying, "Well, hello there," echoing Bane and Batman's previous opening lines to each other. Jack gets into his car and heads back to his rich mansion. His butler welcomes him, asking him if he's hungry. Jack, still full from his last meal, that being the FBI agent, declines. That's when Jack walks over to his grandfather clock and moves the hands, which opens a secret passage to his cave. This is all seems very similar to OG Bruce and Alfred, kind of the inverse there of Absolute Universe and the normal DC universe. All right, guys, that's the end of issue 15. Again, you kind of start out kind of a backstory there of the Joker or the Man in White, kind of like they did Bane in the previous story arc. But this does begin a new arc here of Absolute Batman, where Bruce is going to have to figure out what the Joker's really up to. What has he discovered? I mean, we know he kind of basically created Bane, did some of those experiments on him too. But what's in these Arkham facilities, these arcs? So hopefully we'll find out soon. Again, I appreciate you if you watched through the whole video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button. Again, everyone forgets that part, but for us, it's really important because we're doing these series of all these comics. And that way, when the next one in the series releases, you'll get notified and be able to just click on it and watch it with us. So again, until next time, later.